left, and this is our thing that we have instead of money, is we have a vision. It just keeps getting hidden behind gatekeeping. I mean, gatekeeping in a lot of ways. Like, we don't actually kick you out if you haven't read Marx or anything, but you at least have to have played Disco Elysium. And that is not a game, that's a book. And I'm tired of pretending it's not.
That's true.
One big bonus of the anti-intellectualism of the right is that you don't feel like you have to be smart to be part of their movement. I feel underqualified all the time, and hold on, I read Capital in the 21st Century and annotated this bitch, cover to cover. Nobody's read this book but me. I checked. Ugh. Yeah, I hope you heard that.
Trust me, for the last 6 years, my biggest haters have generally been people on the left, the rest of the left, badly wanting to gatekeep me out of it. And that's been the case, I think, for most progressive figures, from like Lindsay Ellis to ContraPoints to, you know, like Vosh to Destiny to fucking, like, even if you don't like these people, and I have my opinions on all of them, but like, these people would probably all say the same thing. The most pushback they've gotten has been from the rest of the left. Wait, why? I don't know, dude. Like, I'm not going to pretend to understand how delusional people think, but I can tell you how they act.
Noise it made. I also like have a degree in economics and stuff, but nobody fucking respects that. Point being, we talk like nerds, and we kind of accidentally talk down to people. And that's why we can't reach our so coveted workers, the regular Joe who works down at the docks for too many hours and not enough money, doesn't want to feel stupid for not knowing what dialectical means. He wants to have a little giggle while he's listening to Theo Vaughn. Side note, why are we writing fucking manifestos in our memes? They don't need to be that long. Shut up. Our commitment to being, you know, intellectual is deep down, it's a commitment to figuring out what the truth is, and that's good, because it means we're not gonna be taken in by QAnon shit, or believe things like—
You know what really stuck with me? The fact that just a couple weeks ago, the meme that everyone was talking about was arguing whether 100 men could beat one gorilla. That is where people's minds are right now. That is what the kind of conversation people are interested in. Do you know who has those conversations and is famous for it? Joe Rogan and all the podcast bros that push right-wing politics that Trump and his campaign thanked for getting him the win. These are dudes who go seamlessly from talking about whether or not a lion or a gorilla would win in a fight, or a grizzly bear or a gorilla would win in a fight, to talking about how maybe a big, strong guy could do it, to talking about what kind of work you would have to do to be a big, strong guy, to seamlessly transitioning to, isn't it crazy how people think men and women are equally strong? And then from there, it pivots seamlessly into a conversation about how delusional feminism is. And then from there, it'll pivot seamlessly into a conversation about how the left is delusional. Like, it's not just the fact that it's entertaining. It's that it seamlessly takes people from a conversation about something that they are fully interested in into something that's like ideologically driven and political, but it's so smooth that, at least in most people's eyes, that it just feels like a natural conversation. And I feel like Joe Rogan has this superpower of talking about political opinions like it's just a natural conversation, making statements of fact and just talking about it. And in doing so, gives the natural impression of credibility and correctness, and doesn't even come off like he's trying to convince people to believe something. And it's a very strong superpower.
like they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. But if we're not properly communicating that shit in an accessible way that doesn't make people feel like idiots, then we're just intellectually jerking each other off. And brother, we're running out of lubriderm. Our obsession with being correct isn't just about being factually accurate, though. It also extends to obsession with being morally right. Now, can I say something without everybody getting mad? Probably not. We do purity test. Like, we do that. Hassan Piker went on with AOC and Bernie, the two furthest left major politicians in the US, as closely aligned as possible as you can get. And then everybody got mad at him. I mean, yeah, the politicians have a lot of problems. They're not perfect, but like, they're politicians. Like, I don't know. It seems like on the right, a lot of people know that Trump is full of shit.
His audience got really mad at him because Hassan's really cultivated a lot of this type of person. A lot of people on the left aren't going to want to call it out, but like, the fact is that certain creators over the last few years have explicitly encouraged the type of behavior that has become the norm on the left right now, that is arguably brought it down to the fallen point that it's in at the moment, you know? And Hassan's one of those people. And he didn't have to be, you know? Like, I think the first big L was him going against Ukraine when Russia invaded. Or actually, not even when Russia invaded. He started going against Ukraine when news came out that Russia was planning to invade Ukraine. And since then, he has just consistently refused to take the side of Ukraine in that conflict. And from there, he's just gotten more radical and crazy and made his audience crazier. And now he does an interview with Bernie and AOC, and his own fans get mad at him. Because in their mind, that's Hassan endorsing people whose politics are not good enough for them. Like Bernie and AOC are not good enough for them. Christ.
Shit, and they don't care because he's gonna get them to where they're trying to go. Do you understand? Another example, the YouTubers, the ones who helped me shape my political beliefs, they're basically all but gone, or they post like once a year about Twilight or something. Mainly because of cruelty, not from the conservatives, but from our team, which is why I'm making YouTube videos now. Just like and subscribe. And I'm not saying, oh, woe is me, pity the influencers. A commenter was mean to me once online and now I'm a Republican. Why I left the left? I'm dyeing my hair normal. How dare you call me out? I'm just saying that this general attitude of purity testing permeates from the top, from the, you know, Hassans, to the bottom, all the way through. One time, a friend of a friend of a friend had someone try to shut down his Palestine fundraiser because it was a bunch of white people putting it on. Like, it's better to just shut it down and not raise the funds. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? And there is a word for this on the right, a phrase, no enemies to the right. It basically means the left is an existential threat, and so anybody who is on the right, we can't fight them, even if we think they are completely wrong, even if they're a rabid white nationalist. We will never critique them publicly. Quote, rightward criticism is a distraction. If the right's main political goal is to defeat the left, then any time spent critiquing the right is a distraction from that goal. Now, do I think we should take it that far? No, we should probably yell at people if they're being racist. But this is a tactic that the right explicitly uses. They just don't say it that loudly, because why would you? My point is, we're overeducated, we're morality pilled, and that makes us really bad at forgiving people when they're either in the wrong factually or ethically. We're constantly worried about being perceived as hypocrites. Like, you can't be in the climate movement if you drive a car. People will literally joke about apologizing to Marx every time they want to buy something. Like, there's this
Yeah, well, it's like fundamentally, it's the fact that the left is fighting for the fundamental idea of standing by principles and having principles and believing in some level of principles, while the right is like against it as if having no principles is a virtue, right? And so the left is constantly bogged down by having to take the high road by nature of like part of the left's whole ideology being about taking the high road, you know, being morally upstanding, not trying to like stoop to the level of awful people, you know? God, the infighting is so damaging to the overall cause. It is. The right is unified in their primary goal of owning the libs. They will not dominate until the left decides to counter it and actually unify. Yeah.
Sense among us of guilt and anxiety about doing the wrong thing all the time. And we gotta knock it off. It's getting stupid. And there's one more problem I do want to touch on. It's that we don't really have any politicians who represent us. Maybe AOC and Bernie in the US. In Canada, honestly, we're kind of cooked. Like, I can't, Charlie Angus, I don't know. I'm not gonna chastise anybody because they didn't enthusiastically vote for Kamala when her only platform seemed to be, we're gonna keep bombing kids and everything else will stay shitty, but maybe it won't get worse.
Most lethal fighting force in the world.
That's not a good platform. But you did at least vote third party, right? You didn't just stay home, right? Right? It's kind of hard to come by decent progressive politicians, even if we're not doing purity testing bullshit.